Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to Brain Train. I am your host, Nathaniel Reed, and this is my good friend Austin McLaughlin. He is also my co-host. Now, we have already made one episode, and this is our second. If this is where you're starting out, you should probably see our first episode, which will be in our video section. If you like what you see, just like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And today we'll be talking about a lot of various things, but first we'll be starting out with a favorite of mine and my friend Austin's, Star Wars. Take the stage.
So, Star Wars is obviously one of the greatest series of all time, if we're being honest here. Star Wars has made a very big impact in my life with how I watch the movies. It's taught me a lot of lessons, and I think it's a very, very good series. And I'm gonna give you all my top 5 Star Wars movies of all time. My top 5. Number 5 has to go to the Clone Wars. Okay, Clone Wars was very entertaining to watch. Took a while for me to watch it. I'm talking about the Clone Wars animated series was very good, and that's definitely my number 5.
Which one?
Number
The
4,
2003 one, or
the 2008 one, the animated film.
that's the one I was talking about with the Cartoon Network?
Yep. Number 4, I'd have to give it to The New Hope. A New Hope had a very good plot, and it was very interesting to watch Luke blow up the Death Star as a very young person. It was very entertaining, and I think it was a good movie. Number 3, I'm going to give it to Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was really good. The Darth Vader and Luke fight was very interesting, and Luke is a very great character. Number 2, right? Number 2?
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm going to give it to Revenge of the Sith. Number 2. Don't get me wrong, Revenge of the Sith is great. I love it. Very good fight scenes. Very good movie. I love the characters in the movie. I would say rest in peace, Mace Windu, but Mace Windu actually lives that fall. But number 1, I'm gonna give it to The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back was very good. And here's our friend Bryson Callahan. He's probably not gonna be talking this. He just wanted to listen in, but that's perfectly fine. So back to whatever I was saying. The Empire Strikes Back is definitely my favorite Star Wars movie. I love the Empire over the Jedi and the Rebels and all that. And I just really think The Empire Strikes Back is a little bit better than Revenge of the Sith. And I'm gonna say a very hot take here. Prime Luke, Prime Luke beats Prime Anakin. Now the reason why I'm saying this
Yeah, most
is
definitely.
because we already seen Prime Luke face Darth Vader, which Darth Vader is always a good fighter in Star Wars, and we've seen him Luke beat him. A very scary scene. But here's the thing: if Luke had more training, he would be a lot more powerful than we've seen in the movies. But still, I'm just saying, I think Prime Luke beats Prime Anakin Skywalker. Just saying. What do you have to say about anything Star Wars related, Nathaniel?
I'd like to bring this up. So, you listeners have probably heard of something that was a real big drama about like maybe a year ago or 7 months ago, and it was a little something called the Acolyte, and it was basically it was basically like a really weird show that Disney made, and it honestly was really, really crappy.
It was better than the sequels that Disney made, though.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that because of the whole lesbian witches thing or anything like that. Simply because, all right,
Keep going back to the Acolyte that you were talking about.
mm-hmm.
What else do you have to say about the Acolyte?
Well, I listened to like the scripts and all that they were saying. It genuinely sounded like it was generated in ChatGPT. Like, I feel afraid. I am walking over here. Like, brother, I'm watching Star Wars. I'm not watching an AI opera. That's not what I want to see. And the Acolyte actually had really good potential too. It could have been a really good like murder mystery, Sith against Jedi, that kind of stuff. But instead, they added the. Y'all have probably seen the one scene where like her lightsaber changed colors out of nowhere. Brother, That's not how a kyber crystal works. You can't just. It's not like those dollar store lightsabers you get at a flea market where you can just go
Nope.
red glue, green glue. But no, instead, it's one color. That's all. You have red, blue, green, purple, all those different colors. Instead, they have it to where like the red slowly inches up the blade. Like, brother, I can't tell if Disney was trying to promote their color changing sabers that they got at Disneyland. I have one of those, or what they were doing there. I don't know what they
Disney,
were thinking.
the Disneyland lightsabers are way too overpriced in my opinion. Like NeoPixels are so much better and they're not as expensive.
Yeah.
What about you, Nathaniel? What's your top 5 favorite Star Wars movies?
I can list characters. I don't really know many movies.
We know the movies, but
I'll do a top three.
let's both the top 3 characters of all time. You can go first about your top 3 characters.
All right. Third place, Prime Luke Skywalker. Second
Yeah, I
place,
agree.
Darth Vader. Actually, no. I think second place will be Palpatine, just because of how well he was like planned out everything. He was a really fleshed out villain. And I think first place has to be between Count Dooku and Darth Vader.
Your choice, bro.
Well,
You choose one.
yeah, it'll have to be honestly Darth Vader. He has a lot more
Yeah.
screen time.
Alright, my top 3 Star Wars characters, this is hard. This is hard to choose, but number 3, I'm gonna have to go the best duelist in the galaxy, Count Dooku. 2v1 Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Very, very good fight scene. And I don't think he should have lost in Revenge of the Sith. I think that was not good. But it's fine. It'll happen. Characters gotta die eventually. So number 3, Count Dooku. Number 2, I'm probably gonna have to put Yoda. Number 2 is definitely Yoda. Yoda is definitely a very wise, in my opinion, the most balanced out Jedi out of all of them. And number 1, I'm gonna have to put Luke Skywalker. Just very good character, very intelligent, wise character. And with enough training, he'd be so much more powerful. But he barely got any training from Yoda. Because I mean, Yoda was 900 years old. Like, rest in peace, Yoda as well. As we see in the movies, he passes away, which is sad. But I was watching this guys. I think they were called Escape the Pod or whatever. The guy, the guy named Hat Guy, apparently thinks The Last Jedi is good. Me personally, I don't agree with that. I don't know if he said it was The Last Jedi or what, but Escape the Pod is a very good podcast, though. I like their podcast. Over to you, Nathaniel. And that's all I've got to say for now. Over to Nathaniel.
Now, off the topic of Star Wars, now we are on the topic of history. Now, I'd like to talk about something that's also been argued about and had a lot of myths about. And it's a ship. Now, I'll let y'all guess what it is. I'll give y'all a few seconds. If you said the Titanic, you were absolutely right. Now,
Now,
the Titanic has a lot of myths around it, and the most infamous one is that the Titanic and Olympic switched around. And there's a little problem with that. So they say that they like changed the bolted on nameplates, right? Well, the nameplates on the wreck that we've observed and on the blueprints, well, they're engraved. They're not bolted on, they're engraved. So that means that they couldn't have possibly done that. And recovered wooden pieces from the Titanic and some pieces of metal that were also somehow recovered, from what I believe, including the big piece, which I think is in Arizona right now on an expedition. Uh, well, they have labeled ID numbers on all the back of them that are ingrained into the back of the wood where nobody sees it,
yes,
where it says
they are.
RMS Titanic or RMS Olympic. Like there's furnishings from the Olympic that were wooden, and they have all engraved on them RMS Olympic. And the reason that was because of the sheer amount that was on the ship. So they
Mm-hmm.
had to label it all and have certain numbers on it to know like where to put it. It was sort of like IKEA sets for how they put the furniture everywhere and everything like that. It was all numbered, labeled. So there's that, but also the Olympic was ever so slightly smaller than the Titanic. So it would be easy to tell, at least from a side length, how big Titanic was against Olympic, only by like 10,
Yeah.
30 meters, I think, larger, or 50.
I want to say something real quick.
Sure.
I don't think the Titanic sunk to an iceberg. I think it was a boiler explosion. Because I mean, like
I
what
think that.
happened was, here's the thing. Let me explain why I think that. Because some interview was done with some of the passengers.
Unpaused. All right.
Like, I don't think the Titanic sunk to an iceberg.
Uh, I
I
beg
think.
to differ there, because when they observed the wreck, I think they scanned it about a year and a half ago. They didn't really see any damage where the boilers were. They were kind of perfectly preserved, nearly all of them. And you know how they say there was a really, really deep, big gash on the Titanic that sank it? It wasn't really that. It
Hmm.
was more like really, really thin marks that stretched about 12 feet, I believe, or 24 feet that stretch across the five bulkheads. It was very thin. That's why it took so long to sink. But still just enough to sink it to the bottom.
I'm going whatever some survivors said because there was an interview done and people didn't feel the iceberg. They heard an explosion,
That would have
and
been
that would cause it to sink as well.
the explosion
But
they
here's the thing:
heard
if
was more than likely, at least from what I believe. Well, if there was a boiler explosion, most ships that end up having boiler explosions sink in minutes because those leave like massive, massive gashes. That's why the Lusitania, which was nearly as big
Mhm.
as the Titanic, only about like 100 feet shorter or 200 feet, 150, it
Yeah,
sank in minutes because of a torpedo hole that was about like 24 feet long and about 25 feet tall. So that is
yeah,
incredibly big. And actually 12 by 12, at least I'm assuming. Not 24. That would reach all the way above the water. But if that were to happen, the Titanic were to sink in minutes. I do believe that perhaps the explosion that they heard, well, there was a ton of ice, right? And it's
yeah,
going against the ship going 25 miles an hour, or, well, actually not 25 miles an hour, about 23, 24. 25 knots is about 20 something miles an hour. But I think what happened is that terrific explosion they heard was more than likely the point of contact between not only all the rivets and all that popping out and allowing the metal to crumple inwards, which caused the razor thin stripes of holes that led to the sinking. I believe that it was also the massive hundreds of tons of ice breaking off the iceberg, also, because that makes a metric crapload of tons of sound, also.
yeah.
So that explosion they heard was more than likely just the point of contact.
Could have been. By
And
the way, 25 knots is 28 miles an hour. And here's the thing: if y'all didn't know the Titanic, which you had to have heard, but I'm just gonna explain it anyway. The Titanic was a British luxury passenger liner that sank in the North Atlantic on April 15th, 1912. So also, not that many people survived. An estimated 1,517 to 1,522 people died. There was approximately 705 survivors rescued by the Carpathia. If the Carpathia was even minutes more late,
and also
no one would have lived.
what if the and also the day before the wireless had broken and the two wireless men who were instructed not to repair it till they got to New York repaired it themselves. So imagine if they hadn't repaired it, so they couldn't send out a distress signal. They only had flares, signals, and those didn't really last because all the ships were miles away from it. Even the California, which most people probably know, probably wouldn't have
Yeah,
responded to it because they thought it was, fireworks, normal
yeah,
fireworks.
they did.
So that means that instead of us talking about it in such detail, well, there was a storm that happened just less than a day after the Titanic sank. So that means, well, we would have been talking about, hey man, did you hear about the Titanic? Yeah, it was a massive ocean liner. It disappeared one day. Nobody knows what happened to it. No survivors, but they found lifeboats full of dead bodies. That's what it would have been
Yeah,
if nobody ever heard.
yeah. People think the owner of the Titanic sunk it for insurance money, but I don't think he sunk it for insurance money because this dude already had to be making a lot of money by selling the tickets and him being able to because the Titanic was owned by Red Star Line, owned by a
White
man
Star
I
Line.
don't know his name, but White Star Line. Excuse me on that one. Kind of forgot the name, but It was owned by a very rich guy, and he made a bunch of ships. I'm pretty sure he made the Titanic. I think he made the Lusitania.
No, that was Cunard.
Yeah, but I think he made the Olympia or the
No,
Olympia. What?
he made the
Olympia?
Olympic
What is this?
Titanic.
The Olympia? Yeah, I don't think he sunk it for insurance money at all, honestly. Well, I think that's all we're going to talk about on this podcast today. Um,
And
thank you.
I thank you all for listening here. These are my two good friends, Bryson Callahan and Austin McLaughlin. I am Nathaniel Reed, your lead host, and we thank you all very much for listening. And of course, thank you kindly, and goodbye.